This is the official third episode. Killing it.
Yes, so episode number 3. Let's go.
Someday we'll be on like 100 and we'll look back at these and be like, what the fuck were they talking about?
No. We're going to be like, yo, we were dropping some serious gems.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to know so much and be like, yo, how did we not tell them this? Like,
yeah, changing lives. Man.
I know, right?
Well, today I want to just talk about virtual. So how to do real estate, how to do wholesaling virtual. Like I said before, the first one, like I'm in Arizona, Terry's in New York. We've been doing deals in Maryland, Alabama, Tennessee, Florida, Texas. We're just all over the whole America hunting and looking for deals, man. We've learned a lot though. So it's been pretty wild. What are some of the things that you think about, I guess, like whenever you think about virtual wholesaling, like
virtual wholesaling? Well, one thing I think about being able to be a entrepreneur, self-employed from your home, you know, like that is sweet. Like being able to wake up and go to like your little office area right in your house, you know, being able to, you know, make a living for yourself. Honestly, I feel like it's a gem. So that's pretty cool. I would also say too, you know, I don't know. You kind of expect unexpected. I would definitely say expect unexpected, you know, with virtual, and try to get as much information as possible that you can from your house. Because like me and Robert have definitely been surprised a couple of times, you know, and that's just going to happen with, you know, virtual wholesaling.
Scarred, bro. Just emotional scar, mentally scarred. Virtual
honestly,
deals,
like look at people different. Like, yo, can I do, like, you can't even touch people now. But
oh man.
Oh my gosh.
What was it? Somebody was telling me, sometimes there's snakes out there and sometimes the snakes get mongoosed as well. So
but yeah, that's
I was listening to I think it's Jim Rohn or John Rohn or whatever, and he's like, you know, in the whole world, usually everybody's a real nice people. There's about like 5 or 6 or 7 like people that are just terrible though. They're awful. They move around a lot. All right. They move around all the time, but there's only a few of them out there. Most of the time people are good. But sometimes, man, there's just dicks. So
when you said that to me, like that was honestly like so funny but frustrating at the same time. When there's only about 5 or 6 people out there like that, I was like, yo, well, let's.
They move around a lot, though. That's the problem.
I know. You were freaking paranoid.
Should we talk about that deal? That just like.
No, yeah, we got you. So I guess I'll start off since I was the one really talking to the seller. So I was really going through it. I feel like back and forth with her, but Robert found somebody to go take pictures of a property for us in Tennessee that we needed. And instead of him taking pictures for us, he tried to get the deal for himself. Basically, he tried to act like another person was the buyer, not us. You know, he said that he didn't even he showed up 2 hours after he was supposed to be there, and he didn't even get pictures for us, and he basically just tried to steal the deal right up under us, you know, try to tell the seller to go with this person, work with them, blah blah blah, and the seller eventually told us, like, you know, a day later that they were trying to do that, so which was kind of like freaking scary, like at the same time. It was freaking insane.
It was such a good deal. It was like we were gonna make like $70,000 on it. We thought we're like, oh shit! Like we were so excited. Man, and this guy, like, I basically just made a post like, hey, I need some boots on the ground. I need someone to go take some pictures, which is what I do all the time. But I never thought that this guy had like a whole plan though. Like they must do this all the time. Didn't the brother of the owner or something like knew he was a skis bag?
The seller like. So the seller asked me if I knew of the person who I sent over. I said, I don't really know him personally, but he's just somebody who's, you know, helps out taking pictures and stuff. She was like, okay, but don't send him back. You know, she said that as soon as she met him.
Yeah.
And they had like a whole business where like they get people for their cars and they do something like have a whole plan where they get people, like try to undercut people on houses too. Like they have like a whole system in place, you know, of how they get stuff. And it was so overwhelming because at first, you know, somebody's presenting them with a cheaper or a higher number, you know, and they don't really know me and Robert. So obviously they're going to listen to what that person has to say.
Yeah.
And so she was kind of getting ready to back out us because they were trying to offer her more money. And then she put it together that they were trying to have some crazy plan to get her to work with them, and she sniffed it out, and so she eventually still went with us. But it was so crazy. Yeah, it was still.
Oh man. They had a whole scheme to steal our deal, and then so I paid him like $90 to take pictures. So I'm on the phone with them. I'm all happy, whatever. And then as soon as he was hanging up with me, he would just talk shit about whoever I was. And I never met the guy. His name was Octavius. Yeah. So anybody in Tennessee named Octavius, fuck that guy.
Seriously, no, he deserves it because that is so grimy.
That's shady, man. That's shady.
So grimy.
But that deal was just that virtual deal in Tennessee. So it's in Dixon, Tennessee, and it was like Dixon, Tennessee is hard to find a house right now. It's a hot market. And that deal though was it just wasn't meant to be, man. Every step of the way, it just got worse and worse and worse.
Honestly, I was losing sleep. I honestly, I would pop up at 4 a.m. and check on my phone, make sure everything was okay. Man, that was a stressful process. That was a very stressful process.
So first that happened. So then they wanted more money. Next, we actually did have somebody get pictures, and everything was going to be cool. But then the lady that owned the house had all of her crap in the house, and the buyer refused to close if she didn't get her crap out of the house. But she didn't live there. She lived 2 hours away or an hour away, so she couldn't get it done fast enough.
It never really went to the property, and when you're virtual.
Yeah, we can't do anything. We were like, we'll buy her a storage unit, and we'll have somebody move all her shit to the storage unit so we could close the deal. We were planning on it and stuff like that. And then she took pictures of the house. We couldn't trust the next person to take pictures because the first person screwed us up. So this crazy lady, pretty much like a 5-year-old, running through her house, taking pictures of the most stupid, like her dirty microwave and things that nobody cares about when they're trying to buy a house. It was the corner.
a hole in the wall here. A pile of miscellaneous things here. Marked up floor here. We were why? I don't want all the bad parts of the house. Show me we didn't even see the whole rooms.
No, I don't think we ever saw the whole house.
I said, can you show me the rooms? Okay, she went and showed me a hole in the room. No, I need the whole room.
or the ceiling fan. It was garbage. And then finally everything is settling down. We're going to go and close the deal. We got all the paperwork, all the numbers, everything goes to close. And the whole time she had been lying to us about how much she owed on the mortgage. And it was just
and we weren't so much pressing title company about, getting that mortgage information to the T. Cause when you're talking to the owner of the house, the numbers that she gave us and what was real, those are just, you don't do to somebody. So just know, that it's just make sure you get that right number before you get your hopes up, before you tell your buyer this is the best deal you got and stuff like that. Just make sure, guys. Robert, what would end up being $15,000 that we were unaware of that we had to pay around there?
It was, what was it? We thought that she only owed 70 or no, I think she only owed we thought she only owed 80,000 on the house. Get to the closing, she owes 126,000. And that's pretty much where we were. And then the cash buyer, and then they refused to sell the house for what they owed on the mortgage. They had to, because of the guy that took pictures of the goddamn house and screwed us over in the beginning, they wanted $40,000 of the the And so the house wasn't even worth $160,000. It wasn't even worth it. So it was shit.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about how we started at one price, and because they ruined it, we went up on price just to save the deal.
Yeah,
and they ended up dead. So exactly.
All right, so we've told them all the worst things. That was a nightmare deal, and we should have, as soon as it got weird, we probably should have just been let's take a step back and reassess what's going on. But we wanted it so bad because it was started out with $70,000. I mean, for $70,000, I mean, I think a lot of people would do some stupid shit. I've done worse for less. You know what I mean? Exactly. And then it just got worse and worse and worse and worse. So let's just talk about, well, I guess let me break down what a virtual market is for people. I mean, we from this chair right here, I make thousands of dollars cold calling, text messaging, getting people on the phone to find these deals and getting them under contract. So when wherever you're at in the world, if you live in a small town, you don't have to wholesale there. You can wholesale anywhere in the country. You can find these deals by phone call, and if they're motivated enough to sell, they're going to sign that contract. And then basically once you have it under contract, you just have to get pictures of the property. So you'll have Facebook or whatever. Like we just told you a traumatizing story. So don't just trust everybody that they're not going to go steal your deal, especially if they're a wholesaler or you ask for a wholesaler group. Like most of the time, we hire like people who are professional photographers. There's a website called We Go. There's TaskRabbit. There's just people that you trust, and eventually you'll build up a network of like boots on the ground or people that will go that just want a little bit of money to go take some pictures and stuff, and they won't do any of that shady stuff, or they just want to learn how to do what you're doing or something. We do that a lot. Once you get the pictures of the house, then it's basically just time to market it to cash buyers. And like we go on Facebook, Craigslist, we buy lists of cash buyers, we cold call, we text message. And then once we find the right cash buyer for that deal, it goes to closing and we get paid. So you can literally do this from your house. You just need the motivation, you need the system in place, and you need to, do it. I mean, again, there's title too. We've had some crappy titles that we thought were cool people, and then the title turned out to be just like a garbage company and ruined deals for us and stuff like that.
Make sure, definitely just make sure you're on top of things. When you're doing the virtual, you're not there, you can't be there, you can't just show up. So everything is really a phone call or an email. So you just got to make sure you're always on top of things. And some things to think about, like I said, when you're about to get that house under contract, make sure you're going over all the questions and hearing everything right. Like make sure if the property's vacant or if there's a tenant in there, and see how, what their schedule are like. How can you get your buyer in there to see the property? You definitely want to be able to get a lockbox on the property. You definitely want to be able to tell your seller to do that for you, because it'll just make your life so much more simple. Like if we could have just got a lockbox on there the first time, which that guy was supposed to do for us. Right. But if you could kind of convince the seller, look, if you could put a lockbox on there for us, it just limits somebody else going to the property unnecessarily. You're having your buyer be the only person to go at the property and have them take pictures for you. If they're cool enough to do that, that's definitely something you guys want to look into. But yeah, just those are some really things to make sure you're doing. Make sure to get the lockbox on there. Make sure to know if it's vacant. If there's a rent in there or something like that.
Yeah. So, and then we had another Section 8 deal, which would have been pretty cool, like if we would have kept it. But there was a tenant, the Section 8. So the tenant was there. The lady that owned the house, she basically just wanted to retire. She didn't have the money to repair the property. So she wanted to sell it, get some money, retire, and forget about the house. And then we were so we got it under contract and we were selling it with the tenant in place. And it's this lady and her daughter. And like the buyers though were from Israel, right? The buyers are nowhere nearby, but what would happen is the lady that was in the house only had like 2 hours a day where she wasn't working, and she could be there to get inspected and stuff like that. So what we had to do is we would keep sending inspection people. What was it? We needed a general contractor. We needed a real estate lady. We needed an inspector to get all these different quotes on the house so that they know what they're buying basically. And the lady that lived in the house just would lock the door and not let them in. It was like such a fucking pain in the ass.
She had the door locked and just hear people knocking and be like, no, I'm not
not today. No.
Not between the right hours. Like no.
Superman no here right now. Oh man, that was a pain.
It was hilarious. Like we get a call from the inspector saying, I knocked on the door, nobody's here. And then I called the seller saying, oh, she's there. She said nobody knocked on the door. And we're just like, who's not here? Who's here? Like, what's going on? Like,
yeah, it was a game of telephone. And with that deal, I didn't give up, but I was just like, I'm just going to let it happen. Like, I'll do everything I can, do as little work as possible, but just make them connect. Yeah. Just somebody go there at these hours. And they didn't want to go at the hours. They're like, she's a Section 8 tenant, so she doesn't have the right to tell us when we can go in the property. And I'm like, she lives there, lady. Like, what are you talking about?
Like, what can she do? Like,
and her kids,
if she's not home, what is she? Exactly. What is she supposed to do? Like, like you gotta try to just, have people, try to, show flexibility. Or actually, gonna have some flexibility with you.
Yeah. Exactly.
In certain situations, especially if there's a tenant in place. You know, you definitely need that.
Yeah. So if the house is vacant, send a professional that you trust to go take pictures, try and get a lockbox on the property. If there's tenants involved, especially with kids or families or whatever, just try and be as courteous as you possibly can to not piss them off or whatever. And like, just understand what hours they can be flexible and let them know, like, we might have to send like quite a few people to come through the house because we want to make sure like what's going on in this house is true and we know what's going on.
Exactly.
So you just kind of got to juggle those things, and doing those virtually is kind of hard. But you can do it. We do it, you know, so you can do it too. It's just about talking to people, trusting people, networking.
And understanding also that, you know, everybody does make mistakes. Not everybody is perfect. So like I said, when you have a situation where the seller needs to let a tenant know something, try to let the seller know a day in advance so they have enough time, because, you know, they have things to worry about too. So if they forget to text a tenant or they text a tenant last minute, it's just like it puts restraints on your what's supposed to happen when you want it to be as flexible and freely as possible. So like I said, just make sure you're following up in advance, you know, a day before, just so everybody's on board, everybody's on the same page, so it can run smoothly. Because if people are running around last minute, you're doing last minute things, that's how things don't get done, and that's where frustrations cause. You know, you don't want that. So
yeah. But I mean, I'd like to encourage everybody to start doing some virtual stuff. So like, I mean, the question that I get asked all the time is like, is this a good market? Is that a good market? Like right now, everything's a good market. Like as long as like the population is over like 300,000, like it's a good market to go after. You know what I mean? The ones that are super competitive, the only ones that I wouldn't go after would be like, you know, like New York City, like LA, Miami, you know, just place Austin, Texas, like just places where it's like people are just fighting people to outbid each other, like over, you know, $500,000 on properties. Like the numbers are just getting nuts, but almost everywhere else that you would want to live would probably be a good place for you to start marketing and start wholesaling and start looking for investment properties or whatever you really want to do.
Because there are distressed properties everywhere in this world. And you honestly just pick a market and just go out there and find them. And there's a motivated seller everywhere too. So like I said, honestly, like when we picked our first markets, like it was because you knew of a buyer in Arizona. So like, you know, if you know of a buyer somewhere, like, you know, go after a market like that. You know, if you don't have a reason, if you know somebody who's in real estate in the market, go tap them. You know, maybe you guys should work together on getting a deal out there. You know, so picking a market should not be something that's holding you back. It should definitely not be something holding you back from going any market. You know, definitely go after.
I mean, if you don't live like right next to a big city, just kind of pick a city that is near you. And just start going out. Like I know I got one student who's doing stuff in Kansas City, and she lives in the middle of nowhere, Kansas City, but she started doing deals in Kansas City and St. Louis, and now she's virtually doing both. She doesn't drive to either of them, but she does know the area, and she has friends and family that live there, and those kind of connections is how you can really start to just kill it and start to get a lot of deals. So
exactly, but this virtual, it is freaking awesome. Like I love being able to, if I have to go do something, I can go do it. Like, you know, like, and I can just come right back and start getting work done. Like, you know, if someone needs me for a favor or something like that, you know, depending on what I'm doing during the day, depending on where I'm at, you know, I could be flexible, you know, just not having a restraint on, you know, I have to be sitting right here in this chair, you know, exactly. Like being free with my time, you know, that is something that I love. And like, you can't get that unless you're being a self-employed entrepreneur doing something you love, you know, in your own time.
Truth.
So honestly, that's stuff you can't slow down.
Yeah, we use Batchleads, and with Batchleads, then you could just send a crap load of texts on your computer or whatever, and you can go do whatever you want, and then you can reply to all of the leads on your phone while you're fucking around. I do it by the pool, like I just fuck around and like talk to people. So there's so much opportunity to do this virtually.
Like it's sweet. What we do is Robert goes in Batchleads. I go on PropStream. We get like if you watch one of our videos on how to pull up a motivated seller and motivated cash buyer, you would do that, and you would honestly get Batchleads. Batchleads and Batchdialer are freaking amazing. Like you can cold call, it just runs for you, and you can, like I said, you can send out mass text messages a day, and you would do that from your house, you know. And you honestly get a deal that way. It's just a way for you to be working double time. You know, when we first started out not using Batchleads, I was sending messages from my phone. I had to type in every number. I had to call every number, whether it was a landline or not, just to make sure, I was calling everything. So there's so that's definitely two softwares. Well, Batch in general is what you guys need to definitely invest in.
If you use the coupon code Lyon, Lyon, you get 50% off your first month, and you get 500 free text messages. So don't sleep on that.
Exactly,
Batchleads is gold. We got the link in the bio down below.
Virtually, you need an automated dialer. Like, that is a must. Automated dialer is a must for you guys. You definitely, it'll just make things so much easier, and it won't burn you out so much from typing in numbers on your phone all day. That's definitely, guys. Like, when I didn't have it, I was definitely struggling. So I'm definitely glad I have it.
What else can you think of about virtual that we haven't maybe talked about? I mean, it's awesome.
Virtual, yeah, like the beauty of just getting a phone call. Like I said, when you're networking with people, like, the beauty of getting a phone call about a property, like not in your area, but you have a buyer for it, and you can literally just bring it to that buyer, and you can set up a deal in less than freaking 5 minutes. It's like, that's awesome. Doing deals while you're not in that area. That's freaking sick. Or have somebody send you a deal over your computer and emailing it to a buyer in less than 10 minutes. You set up a deal. That's like stuff you can't take for granted. That's awesome. Honestly,
I guess the other thing is the crazy deals we get, like, daily, like, all over the country. Like, we were gonna buy a house for $4,000 in Alabama just because it was like, man, America, $4,000 for a house, like, what?
Exactly. It's like it's cheaper than a vehicle. Like,
oh man,
come on.
The deals that we find are just like every week we're just like, damn, like, this is the craziest fucking deal of my life.
I know, like, you buy this. They got a deal for $7,000 a house. We were like, yo, this is insane. Like, should we get this one? Like, I was honestly talking to some people I know about really going up there and fixing up their house in Alabama. Like,
I was too. My buddy who owns a flooring company calls me up. He's like, so we're going to Alabama or what? I'm like, I guess so, man.
It's still a possibility. Like, we could still do that, honestly. Because it's crazy. You get a nice refurbished house for cheaper than a brand new car.
Right?
So it's like
that you can rent out and turn into cash flow forever.
Exactly.
Yeah, this game is crazy.
Insane. Like, you'll being able to see so many opportunities from the comfort of your home is honestly, there's something that amazes me too. Being able to see all that opportunity out there, and I'm just right here. Right. That's freaking awesome.
I mean, rent in New York is probably fucking you could live in New York for 1 month or buy a house in Alabama.
Yo,
that's crazy, man.
That is
no hating on Alabama. We make a lot of money down there, but
Thank you, Alabama.
Yeah, for real. That's just funny though. Oh, man.
But honestly, that is super true.
Yeah. I mean, so I guess, like, what you need to do if you want to pick a virtual market, get a Google Voice number, join a bunch of the Facebook real estate investor Facebook groups.
Exactly. That's what we do too. Test it out on Facebook. Like, if you say you want to pick a market like, Tennessee, whatever, like we did on Facebook. If you watch our videos, Facebook Yard, Facebook Buy, Sell, Trade, just even join your local Facebook real estate groups, Facebook real estate groups, just to, see what's going on in that market. If a lot of wholesalers are posting deals, that market is pretty hot. You definitely want to try to get something in that market while things are selling, So there's ways to find out, how your market is, honestly.
No, another thing we need to talk about is if anybody out there has a deal and they don't have a buyer, hit us up. So you can go to robert@bearsrealestate.com and you can just send me or look us up on Facebook or wherever you're watching this, drop a comment. We'll link up with you. And we got buyers nationwide, all over good old America. We got buyers that are hungry, looking for deals. So if you got a deal, you can't find a buyer, just hit us up. That's what we're here for, to provide value, and we'll both make some money and everybody's happy.
Yeah. Also, if you're a buyer in New York watching this, definitely reach out to us. Like, I want as many buyers, because I live in New York, I want as many buyers in New York as I can possibly find. Like, I'm only at like 4, right? What are we at? Like, personally, I'm only at like 4 right now that I can really just text and get and call right now. So we definitely want to boost that number up. We definitely want to be in that market. But yeah, guys.
I think in September we should go after New York. I think that'd be cool. I want to go alphabetically, state by state, and get a deal in all of them.
Honestly, right? Imagine having that content like we got a deal in every single state. Like,
that'd be sick. And then just do one in like Canada and like Mexico, just for shits and giggles.
Like we got buyers in Israel, so
yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
We're already working on.
You can do, if you're in Canada or if you're outside of the US, you can virtually do deals in the US, and the title company can either wire you the money or mail you a check. So you can do this anywhere in the country. I've got students in Canada. I had a couple conversations with people in Australia that were wanting to do it in the US, and you can do it in other countries as well. I know if you're trying to do it in Canada, you have to have a real estate agent make the contracts for you, and then you have to assign it to a buyer. But you can still do it. So this game is ridiculous. Like it just gets crazier and crazier.
Yeah, now that you brought up contracts, another thing too, guys, virtually know your contracts. Read over your agreements. If a seller has a question about it, be able to go right to the area where he's talking about and be able to explain it to him. And I'm only telling this from personal experience. Like there's been times where a seller has asked me about a certain part in our agreement, and it took too long for me to find it that I felt, and I just feel like, that's a little unprofessional. You want to be able to get to it right at the moment, so definitely read over. I've done it so many times, I kind of know where everything is in our agreements now, but definitely read over your agreements as many times as possible. As many times as possible.
We got some videos actually of how to fill out agreements on the channel. And then if you want to download them, just send us an email or send us a message, and we'll give you all of ours, which we've kind of made better, and it all benefits you. And then doesn't, just keeps everything black and white and moving forward so that you get paid.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Contracts are weird. Everybody gets scared of contracts. It's just an agreement. It's just words. You know what I mean? Like you'll be good. Like a lot of people think like they have to buy the house too if they can't find a buyer. You don't have to buy the house. You can back out. It's an inspection period. You can say, I didn't like the paint. I'm not going to buy it. And then you can back out. You don't want to do that though. That's what the shit head freaking wholesalers do, where they get a deal and then they run away and they can't do anything. Like just Google wholesalers in the area if you can't find a buyer, or hit us up. But then you can just JV it to other wholesalers that are already big, already established, and have buyers in the area. Like I know that sounds super simple, but there's always a way to make money on some of these deals. So
yes, like if you have a deal, there will be a wholesaler or a buyer out there for you. You just honestly have to once you get a deal, you need to become a full-on marketer and be spamming that property out on as many different platforms you have access to, and trying to get in front of as many eyes as possible. Like it's just as hard as you went getting the deal. It's just as hard as you got to be finding the buyer.
Yeah.
Like, and I know a lot of people like I've in the beginning, I've had to learn that from experience. We're learning other things I'm telling you guys are from experience. So definitely, you gotta, once you get on the contract, you definitely gotta go balls to the wall to get a buyer for it, without a doubt.
But yeah, it's super sick to be able to do this virtual. Like it is kind of like we're like kind of used to it. But I mean, that's why we wanted to make this episode, to tell everybody out there, like, this is cool. It's possible.
Like that. It's so funny. Like when my friends ask me like, what time you have work? Yeah, what time? Like kind of all day, or like like I've had friends ask me like it's the same thing. What time you work? I'm like, bro, I work like all day. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting. Like it's cool, honestly, to be able to make your hours, and once you see yourself your own hours, make your own working time, it's like you're not gonna want to stop working. Especially when you see how many hours is away from you working and stuff like that, and not looking at properties, you're gonna just reel yourself right back in. Being able to be comfortable in your house and making money is something that we all definitely, I feel like a lot of us would definitely love to do. So
especially ever since the whole COVID shenanigans, everybody wants to work from home. And there's only so many ways like you can make so much money, whereas this is like the income is unlimited. You just got to put in the work. And just kind of know what to do, but you can just do it from your house. Like you don't need to go, pump anything, work your body to death anymore. You can just kind of yap to people, man. You can start making some good money.
Seriously.
Oh man, it's good. Yeah, we want to help people. Awesome, so send us a message. Join our Facebook group. You can just go to Facebook and look at real estate mentorship, and then it says wholesaling. creative financing, BRR. You'll see us in there. We're really trying to grow that up. It's free. You don't have to worry about it. And then subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yes.
Give us some 5-star reviews on the podcast. I appreciate that. Blow it up on iTunes and whatever else your platform you're listening to us on. But yeah, we appreciate you. Send us some messages. Send us some questions you guys have. We're just going to keep going. I think the next one we're going to do is cash buyers. I think that's kind of the progression. And then we'll just start talking about, more and more how to get into real estate and how to start killing it and making good money doing this.
Yes, but seriously, guys, if you have any questions, please reach out to us. My email is terry@realestatementorship.com. So seriously, guys, you have any deals that you need to get in front of a buyer, any questions, anything you're confused about, send it to us, guys. It'll help us helping you guys, it'll make us better, and, it'll help us, helping people who really need it. So you guys definitely tune in, and, we got all the info for you. All of it.
We're going to be killing it in August. That's our goal. Is just go nuts. And we're going to try and video record it and fucking let you guys know what's possible. So
you guys can see tomorrow how we really get after it.
Yeah, man, it's pretty sick. All right, man. Well, I think that was a good episode. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, do the thing, share with a friend. I'll talk to you guys on the next one. Peace.